Oh, only one Kenobi here. Only one. Oh, well, how many times have I seen this last episode now? 3. And I'm not one to cry normally, but I swear to God, I can't even say I was fighting back the tears. The tears were there. It was so emotional. Amazing. I did actually get to see it early on Friday morning. I was off work on Friday, but I haven't done a review yet because I wasn't really in a fit state to do it. Not because of the emotion of that, but I wasn't very well on Thursday and Friday. I'm much better now, thank you very much. So yeah, don't worry about me, I'm alright. But what I've done is I've done a list of all the things that I usually do when I do these reviews. This is the last in the present series. I write a little list of stuff I want to talk about, but I'm going to read the list to you now. There will be spoilers ahead. And yeah, I just, these people who do, they complain about thumbnails and things. I don't think anyone should be on social media if you are trying to avoid spoilers anyway. That's just my opinion on that. So this is my list. This is the things I want to talk about. So Lambda Shuttle, Alderaan. If you've seen the episode, you'll know exactly where I want to go. And this is just a quick highlights, this, Planet, I want to know about and Boba Fett and Mando in together. Bo-Katan and mate. Deal for the child and Darksaber. Get on board, crash. Dark Troopers. Fights on board, the A-Team and the B-Team. Gideon and the Saber. Bridge. X-Wing. Luke. Helmet and Grogu. Boba Fett. And Bib Fortuna. Oh my God. Yeah, so it was an amazing end. It's been a great series. I would actually like them to just stop there, to be honest. Because if the whole Mandalorian was going to be about Grogu and the child... What? I'm sorry, that got a bit distracted then. I'm watching it. I should have put my phone on Do Not Disturb. That was a notification from Busk's bloody bounty that distracted me. No, if the whole thing could have been about, say, the arc of Grogu and Din Djarin, then it would have been a lovely end. But obviously it's going to go on. But anyway, the first thing that happens is straight in with the action. This is where the series is so good. The Lambda Shuttle is a Lambda Shuttle is being chased by Slave One. They board, or the Boba Fett says, prepare for boarding, and on they go. And then they're chasing the shuttle because of the scientist is on there, the cloner. Amazing standoff with the 2 pilots. They look to me like, that's my mother calling me, I'm going to have to decline. Sorry, Mum. She's just ringing me now. I'm trying to do my program. They look to me like, I don't know if you can see them, Imperial pilots without helmets. They've got, I suppose they are. They're not wearing their helmet. One of them is a cold mother. And basically he gets the scientist and there's a standoff and he says, don't do nothing stupid or whatever. And he recognises Cara Dune and he says, hey, drop her, and he says, I watched your planet. He's horrible. He says, I watched your planet blow up. And then he says, it's a small price to pay for terrorism. Cara Dune is just there. Drop it. In the end, she blows him away. There's a lot of violence in the show. I don't know what I keep saying about the rate. I'm not complaining about that. I think it's great that Disney are catering for, they're not holding back. But I don't know what the actual rating is of these programs. Anyway, they go down to another planet now, and I'm just sort of cutting through this. If you've seen this, you don't mind me just cutting through what I like, the highlights. They go down to a planet. I put a question mark by that. It just struck me the third time I watched it, just before. I don't know what this planet was, because the last time they saw Bo-Katan was on that. It wasn't Mon Cala, it was another planet that was like Mon Calamari. I can't remember the name of that planet, but this was like a grass world, industrial. They go inside a bar together. I loved that, to finally see Mando and Boba Fett going in. Man, I should have put my phone on discreet. I just have to get another notification then. Just walking in, just like the series 1, episode 1, in they go. They see Bo-Katan on the table, they're having a little meeting, they go and speak to them. There's a little bit of a standoff there between Boba Fett and Bo-Katan's mate. You know, and he calls Bo-Katan princess and all this, and she says, "You're not a real Mandalorian." He says, "I never said I was." I didn't say this on my last episode, I must do a tribute to, God rest him, Boba Fett, the actor Jeremy Bullock's passed away, which is so sad, and me being out of action for a couple of days, the videos I released were ones that were already in the can, so I haven't actually done anything to tribute Jeremy Bullock. I wished I'd met him, but anyway, one of those things, you know, but he will always be Boba Fett, and it's quite fitting he's passed away. I'm glad, that doesn't sound right, I'm not glad he's passed away, but I'm glad that he has potentially seen the episode of when Boba Fett returned, because if he saw that, you know, before he passed, and it gave him some joy to think, wow, and the respect and love that character gets. That's marvellous, isn't it, you know? So we've lost David Prowse and Jeremy, but I'll talk about that in a separate episode. Very sad. So anyway, what was I saying? Boba Fett's a bit badass, and he's calling her a princess and all this, and then, you know, they talk about armour, and then they have a bit of a fight, and then I love the way Bo-Katan says, you know, if you showed any of that kind of passion, we would never have lost our planet in the first place to Mandalore. Sorry, have I said that right? We would never have lost our planet. Mandalore would not have been lost to the Empire. So anyway, they cut through all the nonsense, and then they get Bo-Katan to join them. They make a deal. They say, "I just want the child. You get the Darksaber." There is some talk from Bo-Katan about he surrenders to me, and you think, okay, fair enough if you really want him to surrender to you, but there's actually a meaning behind that later that we will discuss. So they get on board, they're on the Lambda shuttle. They have this fake space chase. Boba Fett is pretending to shoot the Lambda shuttle. The Lambda shuttle gets, this is right by Gideon's light freighter, by the way. And they're like saying, we request emergency landing, we're being under attack or whatever. And there's something like they don't get on board like they wished. They actually then get on board via where the TIE fighters are being launched off. I suppose it's security protocol, they won't let them on. There could be anybody. And they were anybody. They weren't Imperials. These TIE fighters are being launched, and then they manage to, if I pan over here, it's quite funny this. Look at this, I recently moved my Slave 1 next to my Lambda shuttle. You see, and it did my head, and I thought, well, it's a shame they're not in the same movie together. One's in Empire and one's in Jedi. But now, subtly, we see them chasing each other. Brilliant. And you also see Slave 1 going through hyperspace with the Lambda shuttle as well. They're both in the hyperspace corridor together. That looked great. Seeing Slave 1 going through hyperspace, brilliant. Where am I up to? So anyway, I'm digressing. They go and they get on board via a crash landing through the TIE fighter launch bay. So on board they go. Long story short, Team 1 is Bo-Katan and Fennec and Cara Dune and Fennec. I'm so sorry, I don't know this other Mandalorian's name, but Bo-Katan's mate, they go on board, shoot at the place. It's quite good that they kind of they take out a few stormtroopers. Team B is Mando alone, and he's got the Beskar spear as well. He looked pretty cool with that on his person. And then he goes on second, when there's a path cleared. And his mission is to get the child. The first thing Gideon says is launch the Dark Troopers. And he does. And these Dark Troopers, I wasn't sure what to make of them when they first came on the scene. I thought, are they going to be cool? Are they going to look badass? Just like so many things do in Star Wars. I recently reviewed the Sith Trooper, and I'm not hating on sequels. I'm just saying that they didn't do what I wanted them to do, which was to be better than normal Stormtroopers. And they just look the same, but just red. But these guys, I worried that they would be crap. They'd look good, but then be inferior. But I tell you what, that's the first enemy grunt I have seen in all Star Wars that I've thought to myself, man, I don't want to be nowhere near them. Ever. I mean, they were ineffective. I mean, they were effective as killers, but Mando was ineffective. It's a good job he had the Beskar on. They get hold of Mando, and they're this preferred attack method of punching. Such a nod to Terminator as well, with all the sound effects they make. Especially that final scene in Terminator, you can really hear the joints and cogs of him. When he's free of the skin, you can hear the mechanisms of the droid, the machine. And you get that with these guys. They're hard as nails, man. I was watching Palaboys last night, and they were talking about how when they were punching the helmet, you totally expected his visor to go. I mean, you can see the Beskar not bending or whatever. Man, that must have given him a headache though, because as he's punching his head against the wall, you can see all these things, gizmos and squibs going off of obviously cables or whatever behind his head. So that was quite intense, but you would have thought that, and like in RoboCop, when you can see his real eye when the visor goes, I thought that was going to happen with this, but it didn't. So he manages to get rid of one of the Dark Troopers, whatever they're called, with the Beskar spear. He kind of like jimmies his head off, and it was a tough battle, just one of those guys. He manages to open the airlock and it flushes out the others who were trapped in the storage room. And they're gone, but you do realise that you know that they can survive in space and they will be back, and they were. Then we cut to, that's what he's up to, Mando. The other lot are trying to just fight their way to the bridge. Mando cuts through to where the child is, and then inside the room with the child is Gideon with the dark saber. Is it black saber? I'm getting confused with Dark Troopers. It's the black saber. Hello there. Sorry about that. I was doing my head in. It's Dark Saber and it's Dark Troopers. I just got a bit confused. You know what I mean? So Gideon has got the Dark Saber over the child, and it's sort of like he double crosses Mando here. He just said, he says, I can see your bond with the child. He sort of like the conversation settles down, and he says, I've got what I want. I've got the blood from the child that will bring order. Another subtle hint to some sequel direction. And then he says, he establishes he doesn't want the saber, he just wants the child. So then but basically after that though, behind his back, he just goes wild, does Gideon, with that saber, smashing it around. Mando's defending himself with his Beskar and the Beskar steel. He ends up having a duel with him, a bit like what happened with the Magistrate on that planet. He uses it to counter the saber. You can see the Beskar glowing red as well, red hot. You always worry with fights like this in Mandalorian. I worried for Ahsoka against that Magistrate. I thought she was going to win. I thought Gideon was going to do some damage here, but Gideon doesn't. He succumbs to Mando. Then he says, you're going to keep me alive. This should be interesting, or something like that. Then they go up to the bridge. Mando has Gideon at his mercy. On the bridge, they have another discussion about the saber. He tries to give it to Bo-Katan, and he says, oh no, Gideon says, it's not that simple, you have to win it. A bit like in the Clone Wars, there's what was that guy called? Pre Vizsla? Was that Pre Vizsla? The guy, he battles Maul for the saber. In fact, when he loses, he says, what are you waiting for? Kill me, I don't deserve it. And he does, Maul does. He kills him, doesn't he? Kills him in cold blood. So it's a bit like that, she can't inherit the throne from Mandalore. Technically, I suppose Mando now does. Din Djarin is now the rightful... I don't know how they're going to resolve that. Does he have the throne to Mandalore because he's got the black saber? Dark saber. Anyway, that will be resolved at some point soon. But then, whatever the sound is there's another ship coming in, and it's an X-Wing. Now, I got very excited when I saw it, but I thought, hang on, just calm down. It could be anybody in that X-Wing. It could be Dave Filoni for all we know. Someone says on the intercom, Craft, identify yourself. No answer. You can see on the monitors of the bridge it going into the hangar bay. And I was looking, how many strips can we see on the wing of the X-Wing? I was looking for 5, 5 strips. Couldn't tell. So again, patience. Who is it? Then you get a shot of a guy or girl wearing a black cloak going through the corridors, and I thought, my God, it's Luke. And at that point I was like, oh my God, it's Luke. I was so happy to see. I wanted Luke so badly. No disrespect to Ezra Bridger or anyone else who could have shown up. I wanted it to be Luke, and it was. Well, this is how it went down when I was watching it. They had a saber. As soon as I saw that it was green, I thought, it's him. It was amazing. The music was very haunting, and it was just so well done. These Dark Troopers. Before that, by the way, before Luke showed up, they got as far as the blast doors for the bridge, and they start beating the thing. They got so much power, that's why they're kept in cold storage. But you thought that looked pathetic, but actually they were pounding their way through, man. They could have crushed Mando's bones. He was lucky they didn't. They were terrifying. But anyway, they were pounding their way through. Then they stop pounding, and then they start facing the other way, as in they know something, another threat is coming. And then as George Lucas said back in the prequel trilogy when he was talking about, you know, these guys, you know, Jedi go through them like butter. That's my best George Lucas voice, you know. You know, they're pathetic. Jedi got through them. It's true. Well, they are pathetic, you know. They're like stormtroopers, you know, bad shots, you know. I'm talking about B1 battle droids here. These dark troopers are badass, but they're not much good against the lightsaber. So Luke was just going through the man and wielding that saber, like pushing, like, get out of my way, man. Get out of town. Have a bit of that. Fantastic. He got towards the penultimate one, I guess. I think he sliced him down the middle. The one before that, he just sort of did something to him and the eye was flickering and he was dead. The very last one, Vader style, he just crushed it. And you could see the troopers had a couple of shots trying to shoot. He was obviously had total control of him and then gone. Mando says, you know, open the doors. The others are going, are you kidding? You know, they don't want to, they think they're toast as well. Maybe, because they've taken over a ship. But obviously, Luke is no friend of the Empire. The doors are open by Mando. He knows the deal. He knows that Grogu, because, well, he was there on the Thinking Stone. He'll know that this Jedi is there for the child. And he wants best for the child. The doors open. The hood is revealed. And it's Luke Skywalker, man. It's definitely him. What were your thoughts on it, though? I thought that the CGI was all right. You can see Mark Hamill on there, but maybe I was expecting better. But it didn't matter, man. It was just all so well done. Apparently the voice is Mark Hamill. It sounded a lot younger than, say, like, this is not going to go the way you think. I said to Ryan, I said, you know, I fundamentally disagree with what you have in mind for this character. It didn't have the old Hamill gravel, you know? So I don't know what they've done. Have they digitally cleaned him up, or did they get Mark to talk softly? Because Mando says, you a Jedi? You a Jedi? Oh my God, that sounds like Boba Fett. He says, you know, you a Jedi? And he says, I am. So calm, focused is Luke Skywalker. You know, dark robe, black robe Luke with a green saber. Lovely, lovely revisiting of post Return of the Jedi Star Wars. And then he says, come little one. To Grogu. Huh? Grogu looks at Din Djarin and he says he doesn't want to go with you. He says he wants your permission. So good. Over he waddles, little Grogu. And then they have this goodbye. So, I mean, when I first saw it, the bit that's really getting me, as I say, like, you know, shedding tears, I will admit I have. It's very hard. It's very emotional. It's not necessarily Luke. It was the first time I was just quite excited to see Luke. I was like, oh my God, yes, thank you. I was like more like, yes, thank you, Dave Filoni. Thank you, Favreau, for doing that. Not copping out, going all the way, man. It's the music, which I heard in that Freaky Spiders episode, which I haven't watched since that first came out. I don't dislike that episode, but I ain't scared of spiders, but they're not my favourite thing. I have control of my fear of spiders now. I used to hate them as a kid. When I see one now, I don't get as scared. I just, you know, calm down. It's more scared of me than I am of it. I try and catch them and let them out now, as opposed to squashing them. That's not very nice, is it? They rid the planet of mosquitoes and flies and nasties. Anyway, digressing. The one thing about that episode I liked, just before Grogu, when he ate the spider and set them all off, the music, that beautiful, well, I tried to play it on the ukulele before, such a beautiful melody that, and that was stuck in my head all that week, to be honest, that you hear it again at the most accurate time. Din Djarin looks at the child and he's like, says, you know, okay buddy, whatever they say, and there's a lovely shot of the child looking at him, like as if to say this is happening, and then when he touches his helmet, as if to say, I suppose when you look at it back at it, he's saying, I want to see your face. And he takes his helmet off, man, and you just know the whole deal of the creed and the passion he has for that. It has taken such a brave man to take that, in the story, to take that helmet off. I mean, he already has. He did it on that mission last week with Bill Burr. And he's been eating or drinking soup by just lifting it up. But in front of everybody, he revealed himself. And then he looked at him, the music kicked in, and the child, you know, and the child touched his face. It was just all too much, man. It was beautiful. So I suppose that, knowing Luke's there, knowing that's going down. And then after that, R2-D2 rolls in, and then there's something about that as well when you see R2. Technically, it's like seeing R2, Luke, and Yoda all reunited. There's no mention of, like, I mean, you see Ahsoka in the previous one. She sort of acknowledges that, you know, you look like my old master Yoda, but you can just see in Luke's face, he looks at him, it's almost like he's looking at a reborn Yoda. There must be some sort of excitement or prospect in his heart as well. May the Force be with you, he says to him. That reminds me, I must open my Luke Skywalker. The Jedi, the Return of the Jedi, Luke Jedi one. I still haven't opened it. Can't remember the VC number, but I'll do that. But it was just amazing, overwhelming. So well done. Thank you, John Favrau. Thank you, Dave Filoni. Thank you, the dude who directed it. Sorry, I've forgotten your name. But amazing. Very good. And then I did watch it all the way to the end. People saying, oh, make sure you watch the credits. I did. I was just sat in my chair. I always watch the credits and let it play out. I do that with anything I love, of course. But then at the very end, you get this crazy scene, Jabba's palace, and you see a fat Bib Fortuna sat on the throne. It's almost, I don't know what to make of it. It was almost like a comedy sketch. It was so funny after seeing all that poignant stuff. Then you see this, it was almost like a bit of light relief. Fennec goes in, shoots the place up, leaves everyone dead except for Bib. Then Boba Fett comes down the stairs and he goes, Boba! Libonati Bautista! As if to say, you know, I thought you were dead. Then what does Boba Fett do? Blows him away as well. He's so fat, he just sort of like dies on the... and falls forward on the chair. Then you see this sort of like kinky kind of thing going on. Like you've got Fennec, kind of the sexy spy, and you've got Boba Fett sat down on the throne. I'm in charge here now. He didn't say that, but I'm just saying that that's the sort of thing implied. And then it says, the Book of Boba Fett coming soon, Christmas 2021. So that's yet another series that they didn't announce that at the Empress Kennedy speech for the investors, but obviously that's going to run alongside another season of Mandalorian, I guess, which is crazy. That's almost too much. But anyway, I'm sure that'll be good as well. So I guess he's now taken over the monastery, Boba. Thank you very much for watching. I do realise now I must have done a video that must be about 20 minutes. Good God. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Season end, you know, season finale and all that. Thank you for watching. If you are new around here and you have lasted this long, God help you, or God bless you, or like, well done. And thank you for watching. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one.